يا مصريين، يا أردنيين، يا ليبيا، يا جزائر، يا تونس، يا مغرب، يا كل الشعوب العربية، يا كفار، يا عالم، يا عالم متنا من الجوع، يا عالم متنا من الجوع. افتحوا المعبر، الناس ماتت من الجوع، احنا متنا من الجوع يا عالم، يا عالم متنا من الجوع. وصي صوتنا يا عمي، متنا يا عالم من الجوع، يا عالم بكفي، يا عالم بكفي، والله العظيم بكفي.
Yo, 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 what is up? What is going on? Salute to everybody in the building. Thank you for coming through. I see my baby Angie, baby. Thank you for always coming through, Queen. I really appreciate you. Anybody else that comes in, thank you so much for coming through. Please smash that like button, subscribe. Support your boy, Marky Dan123 and his channel, Democracy 101, man. I'm just up here trying to give you the facts and the truth. Let's go ahead and get into it. A couple of my brothers may pull up, they may not. I'm gonna keep rolling. It is what it is. Our first topic that we're gonna get into today. So there has been another escalation in this ongoing campaign that the United States Navy, as well as the president, has directed the Pentagon to go ahead and strike South American cartels, which he believes are trafficking drugs and women and different things into the country. I want to say this happened last Wednesday. A boat that the U.S. Navy and Pete Hegseth say came from Venezuela. It was a long boat. Hold on, let me get the video up for you. It was carrying 11 people on it, and they blew it out of the water. Now Hegseth, and let me get the video up here. Yeah, there's the video right here. You can see it right here. It's a long boat. We use a lot of these boats down here. We use it for fishing or just traveling between islands. Right there, you see it moving. Right there, and then boom, they got him. Got they motherfucking ass the hell up out of there. Blew them out the sky. Golly. R.I.P. Jeez. But Heck said he has come out. He has said that, or at least he has claimed, along with using Navy intelligence, saying that the boat was carrying drugs. This has not been confirmed by any independent reporting. It's going to be a little bit hard to confirm it, considering the boat and whatever was on it, if it were drugs or if it might have been fishing material. We don't know. All of that is probably at the bottom of the ocean right now, if it wasn't already burned up in that ball of fire. But some inconsistencies have also come into play with this. Donald Trump, as well as Pete Hegg, said they came out and said that this boat was headed for America. Then Marco Rubio, who was in Mexico City, I believe the same day on Wednesday, said that this boat was headed for Trinidad. Then he later came out and redacted that. But I don't trust these people. I don't trust them as far as I can see them, if I'm being very honest with you. I 1000% believe that that could have just been a boat that might have been traveling to Trinidad. Because Trinidad and Venezuela, they're basically like sister countries. Like immigrants come over from Venezuela to Trinidad all the time to find work and to study and to study at the Trinidadian universities. So I don't know like what could have been in that boat. But all I do know, or all I do believe is that yeah, there were 11 bodies in there and they got all of them up out of there. Um on top of the fact, just aside from the current U.S. buildup and forces that we have in the Southern Caribbean near Trinidad and Venezuela, it's now being reported that 10 F-35 fighter jets are now being stationed in Puerto Rico. So this to me just appears to be a constant buildup of forces, and it's also a change of, or I'm not gonna say a change of posture, but it's a reinforcing of their posture towards Maduro and in their words Venezuelan cartels. But in their eyes, President Maduro of Venezuela himself is the head of a cartel because they indicted him on charges of narco terrorism, saying that he was the leader of a Venezuelan cartel known as I can't think of it right now. I think it was the Guardians of the Sun. I'm not 1,000% sure about that. But me personally, I'm gonna just tell you like I've been looking through a lot of public information. I don't buy it. I think just like what they did with Saddam Hussein, the United States and powerful countries, they are always going to come up with excuses to apply force on different nations who they don't like their domestic policy. Okay, they did the same thing with Saddam in Iraq. They lied and said that he had weapons of mass destruction, and we went in there, we killed him, and then we destroyed Iraq and raped it for all its resources and oil. And that's the same thing we're going to do with Venezuela. Venezuela has possibly the largest oil reserves in the world. And there was a point in time where I talk about it all the time. My island, our economic center, and I'm from the island of St. Croix. I live in the United States Virgin Islands. Was born and raised. Our island, our economic center was the Hess refinery. It was probably the big no matter of fact it was the largest oil refinery not only in the Caribbean but on the entire East Coast. We would refine enough oil. We would refine anywhere from 500,000 barrels to 1 million barrels of crude oil a day, and we would refine it. We would get different plastics from it that were important, and we produced so much oil. We had enough. We would produce so much oil. We would excuse me. We would produce enough oil to power the entire East Coast. You understand what I'm saying? And going back to Venezuela, Leon Hess, who was the owner of the Hess refinery and the Hess Corp on this island, they came up with a partnership between Venezuela's state-owned crude oil production company and with Leon Hess and Hess Corp. And the deal was you send us 500,000 plus barrels of crude a day, and we're gonna refine it, and we split the profits 50-50. It was a 50-50 partnership between a major U.S. refining company and a major Venezuelan crude production company, and it was great for us until it finally fucking closed down, and now this island is dead. So honestly, sitting back looking at it, if Donald Trump were able to get rid of Maduro, because I'm gonna be honest with you, even though I'm not somebody, I don't believe in interventionism, especially when it comes to people that I haven't seen any actual evidence that Maduro is directing Tren de Aragua or narco terrorists to flood our streets with drugs. I just think that's ridiculous. Like if you look at the information and the research that's out there, 97% of the drugs and mainly fentanyl that comes into the United States comes through Mexico. And there is way more evidence in my mind to suggest that the president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, let me get the broad picture up here. Let me get a picture up here. Yeah, this broad right here. It's way more evidence to suggest that she has ties with the cartel. The Sinaloa cartel donated $10 million to her political to one of her political parties' campaigns back in 2009. And then just the other day, a member of her ruling party, he was caught handing out government passes and different licenses to cartel members for money and different favors. So what is there to read? And I was just about to go into it, but what is there to really stop Donald Trump from turning around and deciding I want to invade Claudia Sheinbaum in Mexico? What's really to stop him from doing that? Because if all I need to do is get an indictment in federal court against a political leader of a foreign nation, we don't even need to bring him to court. He doesn't get an opportunity to defend himself because it's a grand jury. If that's all we got to do, bro, we gonna have regime change wars all over South America. If this is the format and this is the model of how they're gonna do things, they're just gonna blow ships out of the water. Not only that, to the question of the Venezuela boat that was blown out of the water, I'm gonna play it one more time for anybody that's just coming in. Um, salute. By the way, salute to my brother John McSmith. Thank you so much for coming through, OG. Yeah, but this is the video right here. In case you didn't see it, McSmith, anybody else that's coming through. Um, yeah, some Venezuelans were riding in this boat, at least 11 of them, and they got blown the fuck out of the water by the U.S. Navy, claiming that they were carrying drugs to the United States of America, which there's no outside source to verify that. One say, oh, my brother AC is in the back. Hold on. AC, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I'm
How
good.
you doing, my brother? How you doing this Friday?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good, bro. Talking about the uh, the lady who they're saying has these ties to the cartel and stuff like that, saying that they put in money to her campaign. Um, it would be really rich for the Trump administration to say you're going to do X, Y, and Z because these people put money into your campaign. How do we know through his crypto that Korea hasn't put money in his campaign?
Great point.
We know for a fact that he has strong ties to Russia. You feel what I'm saying? So how do we know? How do we know who has put money in Donald Trump's crypto coin? To whereas I just saw a report that said this: you combine everything Donald Trump has right now, with the exception of crypto, his crypto money dwarf, uh, dwarfs everything else that you put together, all his global stuff. So he's been able to capitalize, and we have no idea where that money came from. So before you start talking about going to war with them, what's to stop Spain, the UK, and other countries of invading us based on your own corruption? So at the end of the day, bro, don't throw stones if you really in a glass house. And that's the shit that, for me, I try to look at and say, listen, you can say all of this stuff, but at the end of the day, that doesn't stop another country from invading us because your shit is just too corrupt. That's a fucking cartel. You know what I'm saying? You got foreign powers. That's in-house money. Those cartels are in-house to where she's at. You got foreigners that who are our adversaries giving you money. And the best we could do at this point is speculated, with the exception of the gift that you got from Saudis, that plane. So for me, I'm like, bro, Donald Trump, I get where you want to try to make these political statements and stuff like that, where you trying to, you know, use Hitler and Russia type propaganda to, have that one group of people to be posed as national security enemy number one. You feel me? George Bush and them did it. Dick Cheney and all of them did it when it came down to the Arabs and stuff like that. And now Trump's trying to do it with a third world, country like Brazil, Mexico. I'm not gonna say it's a third world country. I can't even really say Brazil is, but he's just trying to do that stupid shit. So I'm just like, bro, get over it. You can keep trying to distract us because we already know who you really are. If you trying to block those things, we know who you are.
Nah, most def, and I'm glad you brought up that point because I was talking about Claudia Scheinbaum and some of the research I had done. I haven't heard Donald Trump accuse her of being funded by cartel. I'm saying from the research I've done, strongly believe she has been or at least her political party has been funded by the Sinaloa cartel as well as others. But I'm glad you brought up that point about Donald Trump's crypto earnings, and because what he's doing with World Liberty Financial, which is the blockchain that he's been selling these tokens and these Trump meme coins on, he gets a 70% cut of everybody that comes in there and buys a World Liberty Financial coin, which by the way you can't resell it. So
Yeah,
you get the World Liberty Financial coin, you cannot turn it into liquid. It's not like with Bitcoin or PayPal USD or Ethereum, where
there
if you
are no
buy it, you
exchange.
could immediately turn it around. You could immediately just turn around and say, "Fuck it, I'm gonna." Literally 2 seconds later, if you decide you don't want it anymore, you could go back and sell it. You
It
can't do
has
that.
no
So
value.
what?
That coin has no value.
Exactly.
It's not like
Exactly.
Ethereum,
And
which you can take
what people are
Ethereum.
saying is,
Yeah,
AC, that it's a down payment. That's the reason why they're okay with just getting nothing. It's a down payment from all these different foreign investors.
yeah.
But go ahead. What were you gonna say about that?
No, I was gonna
Salute
say,
RG. Salute to my brother RGM in the chat. Go ahead, AC, and D
I was
free.
gonna, I was gonna say it like this. It has no monetary value. It is what it is. It's let me throw some money at this dude. My name will go on a list, and when I need that favor, I can tell you the amount, the day, and the transaction that's there. It serves no purpose because it's not like Ethereum. With Ethereum and stuff like that, you can take that coin and you can buy NFTs or you can sell NFTs on an Ethereum platform. Ethereum, I believe, um, is the only Bitcoin that is actually for here in New York. It's the only one that you can actually exchange. The other ones, they're forbidden for being exchanged here in New York. New York has no exchanges for them. So the best you could do with any other coin is just trade it. I can't purchase anything with any other coin here in New York, but I can use Ethereum for that. So at the end of the day, that whole Bitcoin thing, and this was the thing that people were talking about. Like, yeah, we have no idea where money's coming from and who he's going to do political favors for as a result of not knowing how much people are actually investing and things like that, because it's not like it's a real coin. To the other point that I made about uh, Donald Trump wanting to invade other Latin American countries and stuff like that, he did uh, mule on it, and Stephen Miller was on this Fox rant, and then that Fox 5 people started to pick it up, and uh, what's the weird looking chick? I think her only job is to go in there. She's a social media chick. I think she blows Donald Trump, and then Donald Trump starts
What's
spilling his
on?
beans.
I know exact Riley. Not Riley again. That's the athlete. Lauren
Yeah,
some.
yeah,
I
whatever
can't think
that
of her name.
whatever that Lauren chick name is, that's what I think her job is, to go in there, blow that dude, and then he starts telling her everything that she needs to do. Because right now they're saying, based on uh, her relationship with Trump, Steve Hegseth and Pam Bondi actually worked for her. She canceled an intelligence briefing, said
Oh,
just don't do
you
it.
mean
She was
Lauren
responsible
Boebert?
for
Lauren
putting it
Boebert.
out
That's who
there
you're
on
talking
her
about.
platform that all of these intel people should be fired. That came on her word.
And
So
guess what? And guess what she is, AC? She's a Zionist.
yeah, so I'm just like, bruh, this dude right here. She was the one who was also talking about, you know, Donald Trump should consider invading this country because this lady has ties to the cartels, and he should this.
Did you see the bullshit she put out there? A young man who received the Medal of Honor, because I think he served in Afghanistan, and one of his two of his comrades were down in the field, and they were taking heavy gunfire from dozens of Taliban forces. This young man ran out and saved both of their lives while taking bullets. This crazy bitch went on Twitter and said that this is a disgrace. He needs to have his Medal of Honor revoked because he protests what's going on in Gaza. Like, bro, we are in an upside down fucking world that a
Yeah.
person like that still like after saying imagine her saying some bullshit like that in 2004.
Oh no, they would have like in 2004. Donald Trump would have never made it through the primary.
Yes, sir. Hey, salute to Jay Gibson. Hey,
Two thousand four, Donald Trump would have
quickly.
got locked up if all the cases that came before it and Merrick Garland not dragging his feet and being afraid to actually go after an American citizen. I don't care if he was a former president; he's still an American citizen at this point. If you're afraid to do all of that, then listen. In 2004, they would have went after him. Like no,
I'm talking about Lauren Boebert's comment, but I do agree with you on that point. I think the Republican establishment would have viewed him too much as a threat, and they would have got him the hell up out of there.
yeah.
But just quickly before we pivot back to Venezuela and what's going on down there, my brother RGM, who is used to be an investment broker, he has a question. He says, "So Ethereum is the only crypto allowed to be bought and sold in New York?" Because I didn't know that either. AC.
Um, from the last time I actually had Ethereum coins during the Bitcoin craze and everything, I got in on Ethereum when the coin was literally like 10 cents because I that's how long I was rocking with the crypto stuff, and I automatically looked at it as, oh, this is the model from me playing video games. The money is not real, but it spends like it's real money within the game. So I understood what crypto was right off the bat. Bitcoin, if you remember, the the guys who created Bitcoin, they had gotten trouble, and where they were prosecuted in New York. So Bitcoin itself could not be sold. It was banned from being sold or traded here in New York. So if you had Bitcoin stocks, um, I mean Bitcoins, you had to find somebody in like maybe North Carolina or something like that. But any place outside of New York still runs off of um, uh, the big banks. I forgot what the exact words. You being a bank broker, you probably would know the word right that I'm thinking of right now. But because of New York's laws with investments and the stock market and stuff like that, they couldn't they couldn't get the backing. So with that being said, once those dudes were charged with the crime, Bitcoin was just unallowed. When you look at what what Citibank did, I don't know if it was Citibank or Chase Bank, one of those major banks, and American Express were one of the first few that accepted Bitcoin, and the only one that they accepted at the time was Ethereum because Ethereum was more stable and Ethereum had no issues and nobody was involved in any weird shit with Ethereum. This is why when you go to buy most NFTs or you try to sell NFTs, they're going to direct you to Ethereum, depending on what state you're in. And that's just me speaking from personal experience. From me knowing how things were, I don't know what it is right now because I haven't um, dealt in the crypto space in a long time because things rose. And then I watched Ethereum when I had all of these coins. I watched Ethereum take a big take a big hit when crypto took that big hit, and I watched my coins go down to basically nothing. But then I started to sell NFTs, and then that's how I got a couple of coins back. And then the rise and fall and everything else, it was like, this money is crazy, and it's just too freaking difficult to try to exchange it for regular cash. I have to go through literal loan process. I have to apply for a loan. I'm telling a crypto-based loan company that I want to take X amount of coins and convert that into a loan. And I don't have to necessarily pay the loan back. They just take my coins if the coins hold the value. And that's where it gets crazy.
Nah, most def. That very informative. Oh, RGM responds. He says, I used to work for Citibank. He said, let me stop doxing myself. He said, I'm still licensed. He says, I'm still licensed. Yeah, I mean, RGM, you're supposed to be my financial consultant. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to bring you up whenever we discuss these topics. So maybe you and AC could go back and forth. But pivoting back to the Venezuela topic, just before we get to the really juicy stuff of the episode, the point I was making, AC, I've been really out there looking and searching for, some public information or some independent reporting that says that Maduro is the head of a cartel, and it's pretty much bullshit. Like I have
Yeah.
not found anything. Even this cartel that they say he's the head of, at best, it's just a bunch of corrupt politicians in Venezuela. It's not no organized drug cartel flooding the U.S. with drugs and women. Like that's just not happening. And my point that I was making is, if they could concoct an indictment and then use that as an excuse to go after Maduro, what's stopping him from doing that to Mexico,
Yeah.
where there is way more, at least in my opinion, way more evidence out there in the public that Claudia Scheinbaum's party is connected to cartels. And you can make that argument with at least a dozen other South American and Central American countries.
See, the problem would be is why in in theory he could. Principle is not going to happen. You're still looking to invade a foreign entity. This is why you're talking about the border. This is why y'all talking. This is one of the things that keep your voters in line with you, because whenever your voters need red meat, you go to the border, or the migration of large scale immigrants trying to come to the border, or whatever, whatever. So when it comes to that, he can try with an executive order, but when it comes down to Congress and other things like that to foot the bill, that's where he's going to have issues. Be-
Yeah, there's also questions about the legality of blowing up boats in international waters, because
exactly.
he does not exactly he Congress has not approved the military to carry out strikes against Tren de Aragua. So you could argue that what they're doing down there currently is illegal and just typical neocon policy. But you got any more thoughts on that? Oh, and lastly, I think what they're gonna look to do, I think they're gonna try to influence some of Maduro's allies with that $50 million bounty. They're gonna try to get them to split and fracture from him, potentially, join that I can't think of the name of who Maduro's opponent was in last year's election, but from what I've read, even though I don't think he's the head of a cartel, I have no doubt in my mind he stole Venezuela's presidential election last year.
Yeah.
Like just from all the independent reporting I've read, I don't have any doubt in my mind. On top of the fact, the voting tallying machine company, they said that they stopped the vote when there was only 57% of the votes counted, and he declared himself the winner.
Yeah.
So what I can see happening is that 50 million is meant to be a honeypot to cause division. What at that point they're probably going to put money into an armed group, an armed opposition group, because they already did this in 2020. They sent it was 60 U.S. Mercenaries along with some Venezuelans that tried to go in there and kidnap Maduro back in 2020. Now Trump claims he had nothing to do with it. I don't believe. I think that's a load of bullshit. But what they're gonna try to do here would be something on a much more large scale, where they would be trying to get anywhere from at least 15,000 to 20,000 armed resistance fighters, and then they would support them with the 10 fighter jets I was just talking about that are in the Caribbean, as well as with the Navy and the 4,000 Marines that could be ready to invade. So I think that right now they're just setting it all up, and this is going to be aside from just how terrible this is going to be for the region and for the place where I live currently, this might be the thing that destroys Pete Hegseth's reputation. Because earlier this year they had a campaign the Navy did against the Houthi rebels in Yemen, where for 3 months they just dropped bombs on them and nothing happened.
Yeah,
They wasted over $1 billion of ordnance, weapons, and not only that, they lost two F-16 jets, both of which were $200 million apiece. And for all of that, they didn't destroy nothing. They didn't remove the Houthis from power in their region. Let Pete Hegseth fuck around and start something down here and don't complete it. Let him
not
go
a
ahead
fuck.
with that. But AC, what's your thoughts before we move on to the real topic of the show? Go ahead.
Well, concerning what Pete Heck, concerning Pete Hegseth, he's now lost all of his authority. Like we were just saying earlier, old girl from the social media thing. Um, I'm I can't remember her
Bobert,
name.
Lauren Bobert.
No, that's not Lauren Boebert.
Laura. Oh no,
Laura
Lauren
Loomer.
Bobert's the
Laura
Congress
Loomer.
lady.
Yeah,
Laura
no, no.
Loomer. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
Laura Loomer. Yeah. So it's basically being said that Laura Loomer is now the de facto leader of the DOJ and the military, and even intelligence, some intelligence agencies. So Laura Loomer is the person I was saying, goes in there probably once every other day, blows this dude, and he just starts spilling his beans, and she go on her show and just, you know, soaks it all in, pun intended, and then basically goes on her show and regurgitates what she thinks Trump should do, and it's basically marching orders for Pete Hegseth and Pam Bondi. So uh, Pete Hegseth has already put himself in a position as soon as someone who can be more of what Donald Trump is looking for, Pete Hegseth is out of there. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to see some sort of inner conflict that's going to start to happen between Pete Hegseth and that next person to rise or become that person in charge. And who knows? It could be this Laura Loomer chick that Trump just says, you know what? I'm going to put you in charge of this, which then would be complete madness. Then it's like, listen,
I,
everybody, y'all got to stop making excuses for this dude. I don't want to hear no more. Well, Donald Trump. Well, this. Well, that. I don't want to hear none of that. We know what the fuck's going on at that point.
well, I think that there might actually be a chance because we're gonna talk about Representative Thomas Massey, the one of the only Republicans in Washington with balls. He talked about it. I believe this was last year. He was on somebody's podcast, and he said on the Republican side of the things, everybody that takes money from APAC has an APAC person. And when you go up to these people and you be like, "Hey, let's talk about some policy," they'll be like, "Oh, let me ask my APAC person." I think Laura Loomer is Donald Trump's APAC person. Like people
Probably.
keep trying to make it like, he really just likes her. He just likes her because she sucks his cock, and she talks that good shit to him in his ear. No, this is about money. This is about Israel. This is about influence. Them people probably got some. I remember Donald Trump's biographer was talking about it. That there's a picture out there floating somewhere of Donald Trump at an Epstein party with two young girls on his lap and a bunch of women pointing at a stain in his lap and just laughing their asses off. All of them were topless. I think it's a
Wow.
good chance Israel might have some of that dirt on Trump. And we know this wouldn't be the first time Israel has held dirt over one of our presidents. They did it to Bill Clinton. It's well known what Bibi Netanyahu used what's the fuck what the fuck is her name?
Monica Lewinsky.
Yeah, Monica Lewinsky. It's well known he had that information and was holding it over Bill Clinton's head. So no, I definitely think the bitch is his APAC person. I definitely think Israel can have some dirt over him. But let's move on, AC. Let's move on to the real topic of the show. The House of Representatives is back in session, and we are back into the thick of it with the Epstein files. Give me one sec. Yep. Okay. This week, a group. Hold on one sec. This week, a group of Epstein's victims joined with Republican Rep. Thomas Massie of Kentucky and Democratic Rep. Ro Khanna of California to add their voices to the chorus of people calling for the full release of the Epstein files. I got this clip for y'all. Hold on one sec.
President Trump, you have so much influence and power in this situation. Please use that influence and power to help us, because we need it now and this country needs it now.
Mr. President Donald J. Trump, I am a registered Republican, not that that matters because this is not political. However, I cordially invite you to the Capitol to meet me in person so you can understand this is not a hoax.
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president.
Okay, brushing past Orange Boy retard. Earlier this week, Republicans in the House did publish. They did come out and publish over 34,000 documents from the Epstein files. This release was headed by James Comer, Trump ass sniffer extraordinaire, as well as Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House. However, 97, at least Democrats and other independent sources have claimed, and even some Republicans have confirmed, 97% of what was released was already public information. And the 3% that was new information did not include the names of Epstein co-conspirators. All it included was some witnesses talking about young women constantly going to Epstein's house, or some new flight logs we didn't know about, but it didn't include any names or anything about co-conspirators. Thomas Massie, who, like I said, is one of the few Republicans in Washington with balls, and Ro Khanna are attempting to force the full release of the files using a discharge position requiring the FBI and DOJ to make publicly available all unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative material related to Epstein and his co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, within 30 days of the measure becoming law. The discharge position only needs 218 votes to become law. At this moment, 212 Democrats have already signed on, and Massie is leading a rebellion in the Republican Party. 4 Republicans, including Massie himself, have already signed the discharge position, meaning they just need 2 more Republican signatures to get through. Even names such as Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, two of the people you probably think of as the biggest Trump loyalists out there, they have put their signatures to this petition. And that's really striking to me, AC, because Donald Trump and the administration, they came out earlier this week and they made it known that if you put your signature to this document, that is to be considered a hostile act. And Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene went ahead and did it anyway. So I gotta, despite my ideological differences with them, I do have to salute them.
Yeah.
But Massey, but hold on one second before I let you go, AC. Massey says that there are at least 8 other Republicans ready to sign, but he is facing heavy backlash and pressure from the Republican establishment for his efforts, with multiple billionaire Republican donors investing millions to run ads against him in his home state. Then AC, Massey comes out yesterday and drops a bomb on his fucking party. He completely goes scorched earth on Mike Johnson and the president. and basically exposes what's really going on here. I'm gonna play the clip.
They're being threatened. I mean, look, I've got $2 million of ads running against me back in my district, and it's funded by 3 billionaires. One of them's in Epstein's black book. I mean, this is what happens. Your consultants, your political consultants will abandon you when the White House gets mad at you. The speaker will block all of your bills. They'll shut down your fundraising. This isn't political, but it is. I mean, the opposition to this is very political.
What's your impression of the White House seeming to whip against this vote so actively?
I have no idea why they're doing it, other than I do believe they're trying to protect some people who are rich and powerful and connected, like Republican donors.
Are you personally worried at all by the White House's threats against you or Representative Martin Green?
No, I'm the threat that's already happened. I mean, they're already running $2 million of ads against 3 billionaires, 2 hedge fund managers. One of them is in Epstein's black book.
Who are these billionaires?
John Paulson is one of them. Paul Singer is another, and Miriam Adelson is the other. But the one who's in Epstein's black book is John Paulson.
What conversations have you had?
By the way, those are max donors to the Speaker of the House. They're max donors to the NRCC. They're max donors to the RNC. They're max donors to Trump's campaign. These are 7- and 8-figure donors, and those are among the people who don't want these files released.
So he said it right there. He came out and dropped the bomb. He said that when asked who are the billionaires that are running ads against him, he said one of the names he called out was Miriam Adelson. She is the head of AIPAC. Okay, so she's the one that shells out that $100 million to all these congressmen so that they can be good lapdogs and good boys and girls for Israel. Then he called out, I believe his name, yes, John Paulson. So you see it right here, Mr. John Paulson. Well, firstly, hold on one second. John Paulson is an American billionaire hedge fund manager. He leads Paulson and Co., a New York-based investment management firm. He founded in 1994. He's one of the investment guys that got rich off of the 2007, 2008 financial crash, where he bet against the U.S. Subprime mortgage lending market, and he won big. He made over $4.9 billion off of other people's misery. So this fella right here, not only that, he's somebody who's known to be best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, all the way up to 2015, when at the time he was working at Harvard. Epstein was supposed to have been banned from Harvard back in 2008. There's witnesses saying that Epstein was hanging around Mr. Paulson all the way up to 2015 on Harvard's campus, and that Paulson was not only was he working at he wasn't working at Harvard, but he was donating $400 million to Harvard. But you see it right here. I just put the Bloomberg article title up here. Billionaire John Paulson explains why he's raising $43 million for Trump. I've seen articles that says that he's raised over $50 million for Donald Trump, but it's out in the open right there. It's out in the open. Like this is it. If Donald Trump is not in the Epstein files, what other reason could he have for being so spooked and being so scared about releasing it after you ran on it? It has to be because he's protecting his donors. And I don't believe that John Paulson is the only Republican donor in the Epstein files. And Thomas Massie pretty much dragged his nuts on his own party and let them know, like, my nigga, I'm not finna die. I'm not going down with the ship with you motherfuckers. Y'all are by yourself. Y'all are gonna be Y'all are gonna be remembered during the midterm elections when people are voting. Y'all are gonna be remembered for covering up for pedophiles and people that themselves protected pedophiles and hung around them. But AC, it's all right there. It's all out in the open. Obviously, we have not seen an official file that says John Paulson is, that says he's in the Epstein files. But I trust Thomas Massie. I don't believe he would just come out of his mouth and say that for no reason. But what's your reaction?
Well, I don't know if you've seen this video. I was trying to put it in the comments, but it's 2 weird letters that's on the YouTube link. I don't know if it's. I don't know how they have
Put it
it.
in the private chat.
Um, but basically, it's like this. It's on. I don't know if you link to Pondering Politics, but it's
Yeah,
talking
of
about
course.
it's talking about Joseph Smith, the acting deputy chief office of enforcement operations at DOJ. This dude, the reason why I'm bringing him up in relation to what you're talking about is the guy who set this dude up basically was a dude who goes around and films the whole gotcha stuff for liberals and stuff like that, liberals and Democrats. He tries to catch everybody in these gotcha moments, and then it creates talking points for the Republicans. One of his reporters set up a date with this DOJ dude, and the DOJ dude went on 2 dates with her. In fact, Department of Justice actually released a statement talking about this situation because he just in that relaxed situation, talking to some booty, this dude spills all the beans.
Wow.
He tells you everything. You feel what I'm saying? So
What do you say?
he's basically saying this. The reason why the Epstein files have not been released because Trump is basically having any Republican, anyone who has ties to Republican, name completely scrubbed from the file, to whereas they only want to leave in Democrats. So they're doing some heavy editing to the files, concerning that. That's number one. Number two, they're bending over backwards to keep Ghislaine Maxwell happy and to make sure she doesn't talk. This dude who's gave his credentials that he's been a part of law enforcement and intel for several different administrations, Republican administrations that he was a part of. He gives all of his credentials, and you can tell that this dude is, he's not just some guy who came in who was a right wing influencer or some shit like that. This dude really has the pedigree, and he's just dropping the beans like that. He's telling them, look, what they did with Ghislaine Maxwell by moving her, that's absolutely against the law. It's the Bureau of Prisons, the BOP. You can't. How are they going to justify that? But they're figuring out ways to do all of this kind of stuff. Um, uh, he just says a lot, bro. You like it's so much stuff he says. It's like hard to take away anything because it's like wow, wow. It's like if Cash Patel just came out and said, "Listen, I know I got down with this Trump administration thing because they had me, pretty much gassed that we was going to drop this Epstein file. But here's the deal. Here's what's really going on. You feel what I'm saying? Or Don Bongino and Cash Patel coming out and saying some stuff. He holds the same kind of weight when you really look at it.
Damn, no, you gotta send me that video. I'll definitely look more into this Schmidt person.
Yeah,
But that, because
definitely.
I mean, I'm not surprised by that at all. Um, I think that right now they're panicking and scrambling because they know this discharge position from Massey and Connor is coming down is coming down the road, and they're probably trying to get rid of as many names as they can. But nah, bro, like it's over.
But Mike
I
Johnson
think
is
it.
not. Yeah, Mike Johnson is now in a heavily screwed position. Like Mike Johnson is in a position right now that uh, if he holds that vote or is forced to hold that vote, he's going to lose his seat. The same way they did with Kevin McCarthy, they're going to do to Mike Johnson. It'll be some weird old dude like uh, um, uh, what's the dude that went after
Jim
Kevin?
Jordan. Jim
Uh,
Jordan.
Jim Jordan and what's the other guy that did the Botox all in his forehead and was looking crazy?
Matt Gates, that nigga,
Yeah,
the
Matt
pedo.
Gates. Yeah. So remember how Matt Gates put that bill on the floor to remove Kevin Johnson? If something like that, you better believe Matt Gates is going to come out and try to find favor with Trump again, so Matt Gates can get his part of it, his legal troubles concerning young girls, or Jim
Nah, most
Jordan.
nah, most def. I see.
Disgusting.
My eyes are wide open. Salute to my brother B3 picks coming in, late but always on time. B3, what's your reaction to number one, the story AC or yeah, the reporting AC just broke down about this DOJ lawyer, Mr. Schmidt, basically saying that right now, who's worked at the DOJ for years, who's basically saying that Donald Trump is trying or is having Republican names removed from the Epstein files. And not only that, this bombshell that Republican Representative Thomas Massey just dropped about Republican mega donors being in the Epstein files.
Man, it's despicable, man. But I kind of, unfortunately, I expected this out of Trump and his administration. I knew that they would just kind of, you know, swing their Johnson pause, for having a lack of a better term. They was going to do whatever they wanted to do. If I got background, my bad, Marky.
You good, fam? Keep cooking. You good, B3?
My
I guess
bad.
my
I had a
fault.
little
B3 need to.
background. Nah, it's like a little movie music in here. But yeah, like, it's really despicable, man. Despicable. And unfortunately, I seen some people wearing a 2028 hat in regards to Trump, man. So these dudes are going to try to change laws. These dudes are they're going to do anything in their power to keep themselves in power. Nasty, man.
Nah, most def, exactly. And part of that comes from the people that are behind them, funding them with their money. Like we just went into with the mega donor John Paulson. I just had his picture up here. This man's already has raised some estimates between 43 to 50 million dollars for Donald Trump's campaign last year. Massey dropped his name and let it be known that he is in Epstein's black book. Hopefully we find out more news and more information about this story. But it's just really sad to see that when you talk about abusing women and children, it's now become a political game, and that these people are not even ashamed. They're not abashed about it. They're cool with it because they believe in the end that people like you, me, AC, B3, they think that we're stupid and they think that we're just going to forget, we're going to move on. Oh, dear leader Trump is not in the files. Why do you keep asking about it? Jeffrey F. I remember what do you say when they asked Pat Bondi about the prison video? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
Now, let me ask y'all this. What about the Epstein files, incrimination? Um, what type of legal recourse are these guys looking at for the people that are implicated in it, based on Epstein, kind of believe already going to trial? What are they avoiding right here by doing this purging of the files?
I'm I mean, for one, grape. I mean, the at least according to Pam Bondi, after she did her review, she said that there were thousands of grape victims. So
Wow.
you're telling me that Jeffrey Epstein is the only person that was involved in raping these young women?
Nasty.
Not only that, even if they don't get hit with no criminal charges, B3, that's reputational damage. The fact that you are getting down and freaky with Jeffrey Epstein. But anyway, man. Let's go. I still got two more topics before I close out the show. Um, damn, I didn't get his picture, but let's go into the situation
Hey,
anyways. RFK,
I just wanted
yo,
to say this. Do you see what I put in the in? the YouTube link?
Nah, put it in the private chat, AC.
All right, so I'll click your link because you sent it to my phone. I'll click on your link on YouTube and then put it in the private chat.
Can you are you on a laptop?
Yeah, I'm on the laptop and my phone.
Okay. So what we gonna do? We gonna share screen it.
And salute to my good brother AC, man.
What's good, B3?
Man,
Yeah,
cool.
AC, that's my brother right there. Always reliable, always pulling up for me.
Yeah, definitely. Good brother, for sure.
Most def. Hold on. Okay, I see. God damn.
Yeah, because I have my little. Wait.
Golly, AC. Salute to my vacay bay. How you doing, vacay bay? Thank you for pulling up, baby. But go ahead, AC. We waiting on you, brother. We waiting
Yeah,
on you to post the facts.
yeah. So I'm gonna put it in the private chat right now because basically I just closed out my phone. I have the link up in another window, so I'm just gonna I'm just gonna type it in. So y'all could go ahead and cook as soon as I type it in. It's right there because I double checked it and the link I did get it right because it was whether it was a L or a capital I. So I'm gonna just go ahead and type this in real fast.
But yeah, that brother, these brothers are kind of disgusting, man. They need a lot of
Kinda.
these right, extremely disgusting. A lot of these guys, they need. Unfortunately, it's the thing. It's like the law protects these guys away, so they find loopholes around it. You know what I'm saying? So it's really that's why you always need checks and balances in government. So criminals can kind of be have some sort of a level of um, overwatch. You know what I'm saying? And it's unfortunate now the Supreme Court is Republican right now as well. If I'm not mistaken, Republican majority.
It's
So
they say conservative. They
right.
identified the justices more so on ideological lines, but you're completely right, B3. It's a damn shame. Um, the Republic, Trump had the House and the Senate. Both of those were controlled by Republicans, but back then, Republicans actually had balls. Like they
Mhm.
actually stood up to him and they were far more moderate. Like at that time, Donald Trump was really that guy who was not a part of the establishment. Now he is the Republican establishment. And they are gonna go along with whatever and whatever, whenever he wants something, they're gonna do it. Even if that means covering up for pedos.
Uh,
AC, I see the link. I'm gonna look into that myself. We might come back with that next show, AC. But let's move to
Yeah,
the next topic.
yeah, definitely.
Um, okay, so RFK Jr. And it's a damn shame. I didn't get. I wanted to put up the Bernie clip because Bernie absolutely fried him. If you don't know who RFK Jr. is, B3 or anybody in the chat, RFK Jr. is the current head of Health and Human Resources. So he is in charge of our country's health and healthcare system, essentially. He's also in charge of the is H or excuse me, CDC is also a part of HHS and under their command. This week, he has been in a political firestorm after he called for the CDC director to be fired and he called for her to resign. And this is after just last month, this girl was confirmed through the Senate, and RFK Jr. was standing next to her and saying, "Her character is impeachable. She is the perfect person for this job." And a lot of people were skeptical about the young lady. I can't think of her name right now. Let me try to find her find her name. But a lot of people were skeptical about her because they thought she would be an unqualified, disingenuous idiot like all the rest of Trump's cabinet members. But no, this lady, and excuse me, I should call her a doctor, but this doctor stood her ground. Her name is Doctor, excuse me, her name is Dr. Monterez. I'm trying to find her exact quote. Um, okay, here it is. She says, quote, I was told to pre-approve the recommendations of a vaccine advisory panel newly filled with people who have publicly expressed anti-vaccine rhetoric. Monterez came out, she wrote an op-ed published in the Wall Street Journal. Public health shouldn't be partisan. Vaccines have saved millions of lives under administrations of both parties. Parents deserve a CDC they can trust and to put children above politics, evidence, and above ideology and facts above fair. I was fired for holding that line. So after Mr. Squiggly Line voice, that's what I call it, because his voice sounds like a fucking squiggly line. After he came out and said her character was unimpeachable, he comes out, I believe, if yes, I think it was yesterday, when asked why did you fire her, he comes up with this bullshit story and says, I asked her if she was a trustworthy person and she told me no, so I had to fire her. Like, these people think that we're retarded. They think that we're retarded. That lady chose to resign and get up out of there because you were trying to tear down a vaccine policy. This man has already done away with mRNA vaccine research, which has saved over 2 million lives in the last 10 years. These fucking people are idiots. They're gonna kill people. Like, just this year alone, there my brother B3. Let me bring him back in. Just this year alone, 3 people have died of measles. The last time we had multiple people die from measles was 1991. Measles was thought to be an eradicated fucking disease. Then you have this retard, RFK Jr., come out and say, vaccines, we need to do more research. There needs to be more clinical studies. I don't believe that every child should be a vaccine. Shut the fuck up. You're a retard. And then when the bodies started dropping, this is my problem with these people. Not only are they stupid and unqualified, they're just wildly disingenuous. After 2 children in Texas who are unvaccinated died of the measles, he comes out and says, oh, well, I encourage you to go get the measles vaccine. All my kids are vaccinated. What?
Yeah.
What is wrong? That's not what you just said, brother. Then all yesterday, oh my God, AC. I really wish I could have brought some of these clips. They put his ass to the grill. Oh my Lord.
Yeah,
He couldn't answer any, he couldn't, I'm gonna let you come in right now, AZ. He couldn't answer any questions they had for him. Right now, Donald Trump, he had some bullshit executive order, I think back in March, concerning drug prices, which it had no legal standing, it had no teeth. It's already been struck down in court. So right now, what's happening is, they're going through the Medicaid, Medicare is negotiating with with the big pharmaceutical companies to bring drug prices down. He was asked questions about cancer medication, couldn't answer any questions concerning it. Couldn't answer questions about how much the big beautiful bill is going to cause drug prices to increase next year. He was asked about his comments concerning the CDC, because a couple weeks ago the CDC got filled with 100 bullets from some crazy fucking MAGA guy who said that vaccines are unsafe, and he wants them to know that the CDC are hurting children. And he unalived a black police officer in Atlanta. After that dumb son of a bitch goes and does that, RFK Jr., an hour after that incident, posts a picture of him and his kids on a fishing trip in Alaska. This fucking guy comes out and says the CDC, and this is before the shooting, but he says things like the CDC are Nazis. They want to hurt children. They're the most corrupt organization in the world. I mean, this is just shocking. Lastly, before I let you come in, AC, over 1,000 people at HHS and the CDC have now called for him to resign, along with his own nephew, Joe Kennedy, who's a former congressman. AC, before I let B3 have any reaction, if he does have any reaction to RFK Jr., what's your reaction to Mr. Squiggly Line voice? What's your reaction to just
Well,
the disaster he has been.
when your whole rebuttal is dwindled down to you're being dishonest, you're lying on me. You've lost you've completely lost all your ability. Senate rep after Senate rep destroyed you. When I'm not Liz Cheney. When Elizabeth Warren asked you directly, why did you fire this lady? And you came up with that excuse. She just said, what? And it looked the way she shuffled her papers and was looking to the side. She was like, you know what? I wouldn't have been mad at Elizabeth Warren if that turned into a hot mic. And she said, you know what? I just can't deal with this motherfucker. Because that's the type of reaction you get. And you just look at this man like, okay, it's one thing to be stupid, but to think you're smart and you yourself know you're stupid, you yourself know you're incompetent, you know, that's something that's just like, wow, these are nothing but your opinions. Going back to the three people that were killed, from my understanding, I thought they were three kids. From the reporting that I thought I saw, it was
You talking about the measles?
yeah, it was three kids
Yeah,
that.
one was an unvaccinated adult in New Mexico.
Oh, okay,
The
okay.
other two were two unvaccinated children in Texas.
Oh, okay, all right. So, all right. So, at the end of the day, you've been railing against measles. What we're not talking about with RFK is the 200,000 people so far that died in Africa because he shut down all of those AIDS clinics, including kids. That's the real reality of this idiot's destruction. You killed all of those African people because you shut down AIDS vaccine research, and you said, and between you and Elon Musk making all of those Doge cuts, and you trying to gut the CDC, and what was it? This aid, this so-called aid. I mean, not so-called. This aid that was going overseas to help prevent AIDS and stuff like that, where y'all tried to whitewash what was really going on to say that no, these fundings were actually were grants so these people can do transgender surgery. And the numbers are still climbing. But, you know, the legacy media and sometimes the big number YouTube or social media news tend to sometimes get caught up in the hearings without giving you the full story of what's actually happening. Some of this stuff you got to go to BBC News to see it, because BBC News and there's a African news joint that I watch. You know, I just subscribe to it because these are things that we just don't see in American news coverage. And when they interviewed that lady after the Doge cuts and RFK Jr. stopped that funding and research, and the lady walked up to the thing, and the reporter was asking her, "So, what are you going to do?" The look of despair. This woman kind of had the look like, okay, they said if I stop taking my medication, I might have 6 to 8 months to live. I gotta go make it right with my loved ones now, because I'm not gonna live through the end of this year. To me, I'm like, where the Luigi's to take out RFK? You feel what I'm saying? So this man could never, ever in his life be in the presence of me. because I'm just gonna keep it a bean. I do my best to beat him to a pulp because there are 200,000. I mean, there are 200,000 people are dead because of decision you made.
To be accurate, AC, the studies that came out from Boston College was that actually because they were researching the numbers based on how much aid was being cut and how many soup kitchens, how many clinics were closed. They estimated that over 300,000 people had died. And I
Yes,
read that I read that study in May. So the
yes,
numbers is probably way higher.
and I'm
So
talking, and
200,000. Quickly, I'll let you go. 200,000 is not 200,000 is the number of children that have died, and a
and
hundred
that's
thousand
early.
adults.
Yeah, that's early in the year. That's just early in the year. That's why I was saying, yeah, it's constantly rising. The numbers rising so fast I can't even keep count. And I just don't want to see it. I don't want to see these numbers grow. But that's the reality that I have to block out. That reality, knowing that what these two dudes did have killed that many people for no reason, for no reason whatsoever, but to put money in rich American dudes' pockets. You talk about blood diamonds. Why would you want these tax cuts if you're rich? Look at how much blood is attached to those tax cuts. Look how many dead lives, innocent people that didn't do nothing to you. They weren't terrorists. They're too sick. So that's a reality that is not being projected enough, so people can really understand why RFK is that dangerous. The reports that came out from his own family, you put one of your cousin's birds in a blender and you turned the blender on and laughed about it. That
Jesus
happened
fucking
before the
Christ! I didn't
brain.
even know that.
That happened before the brainworm. Yeah, his cousin, the one cousin that been coming out talking about him, have just been spilling the beans on what it was like growing up with this dude. They like, yo, this dude is sick in the head. And the brainworm ain't making it no better. He has no filter to say this is right or wrong. The dude is just devoid of all sympathy, empathy. It's what he believes, and if he believes it, it's true. It's an absolute fact.
I mean, you remember what he said during his confirmation hearing, AC? You shouldn't take medical advice from me. What the fuck, man? Hey, boy. Hey, B3. What's your reaction, if you have any, to RFK Jr. and his scratchy ass voice just being an unmitigated disaster? 9 months into the presidency.
Man, it's despicable, bro. Uh, time and time again, I'm getting in the elevator, so my bad, Marky. Time and time again, you know this is a janky elevator when the service don't go out. Time and time again, they uh they deserve criticism, man. I don't even know how this administration could be really getting support. To support them outwardly just kind of shows that, I mean, you really have no care for what's going on, man. No care for what's right. And the government, they really need to be focused on all the damage that they've caused. I don't want to take the conversation nowhere wrong, but I
No, take
mean,
it, take it wherever you want to, brother. Please, go ahead.
well, it's still a lot of issues in the Middle East that need to be rectified. And I know you could speak on that better than me, but I just feel like this Trump is more so worried about power. This administration is showing how corrupt they are, but not only that, they're leaving destruction everywhere they go. I even hear that they're possibly rounding up homeless people and putting them in either jail or mental asylums, if I'm not mistaken. So we see kind of what the focus is here. It's really to show like a certain level of dominance over society. Um, and they just want to show how powerful they are.
Could I
No,
just speak
I
to one
totally
thing
agree.
you
I
just said
totally
real
agree
quick?
with that. B3. I
I just
totally
wanted to
agree with
speak
that.
to one.
B3. The
Go
cruelty.
ahead.
The cruelty is the point. Go ahead, AC. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, as far as the homeless, I did see a couple of reports where they are actually gathering up the homeless off the streets. They gathered a bunch of homeless people off the streets in LA. You know where these people turned up at?
Don't
On
tell
Nah,
me
farms.
across
AC.
the border.
No, they turned up on farms. Remember all of the farm workers that were taken because of ICE? They took the homeless people and made them do that. Remember that one talking point that came out for that
Oh,
hot second that said, listen, if you're homeless or you're this, and that, we're going to pick you up off the streets and we're going to send you to go work for the farms. At least you have a
but
job
what
and a
if they
roof
want to
over your head.
leave?
They, it's basically labor camps. That's how they're describing them, as labor camps. They can't leave because it's like you're you're serving out a sentence for being homeless.
Wow. So because you're a certain social class, because you're a part of a certain social class, the government decided to round you up in buses and ship you to a fucking labor camp that you can't ever leave.
Now here's the crazy part.
That sounds like somebody. Yeah, don't that sound like the plan of somebody whose name rhymes with Zitler?
Yeah, so here's the crazy part. It's justified because every major city and even smaller townships, it's something that's called quality of life laws. That's why you can't piss on the street. They don't want you, to poop on the street, stuff like that. They want you to pick up your dog poop. Where do the homeless people go to the bathroom?
Wherever the fuck they could find a nice
You're a
quiet
quality
spot.
of life. You're a quality of life issue. If my state has quality of life crimes, just like California does, I have legal rights to take you off, and now I can charge you with it's still a misdemeanor, but I can sentence you to a sentence based on that. So they found loopholes and legal loopholes to be able to do this shit to homeless people. That's
I
crazy
mean,
Terrible.
work.
part of me, I got to do more research into it. I'm not ever in support of forced labor, especially if you have not been given your due process, if you have not been gone through the court system, because obviously, the 13th Amendment does have the slavery exemption clause, for prisoners. So it is legal to put somebody that's committed crimes, to forced hard labor. But I'm not in support of that for people that could be mentally ill or are just struggling and trying to figure out how the fuck they can get up off their knees. You know what I'm saying? Because it happens sometimes. Sometimes niggas lose their jobs, and no matter what they can do, I bet they wish they had gotten that trade or they went and got their education. But whatever they do, they can't get themselves work, and they stuck. So now you're gonna pick him up and put him on a fucking I'm gonna call it what it's an internment camp because you can't leave and you haven't committed any crimes. You're just putting you there because you're part of a social class. So are they being? I got to do more research. I want to know if they're being paid. I want to know what's the deal.
Your compensation would be the food, the clean clothes, and the roof over your head.
Sounds like slavery, if
Legally,
you ask me.
huh?
That sounds like
Legally,
slavery, if you ask me.
yeah, it is a form. It is a form of slavery, and this is why people, certain civil rights groups, are actively going after prisons for. They saying, all right, so if a guy's gonna cut hair in prison, or a guy's gonna work in the kitchen in prison, he should at least earn the minimum wage. You're paying them a slave wage. They got prisons that produce office furniture. These inmates don't get paid, a carpenter's fee.
But they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose that AC because that's constitutional. The 13th Amendment, they have that slavery exemption specifically for those prisoners, so you can pay them a reduced wage. Because I'm gonna be I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like the fact. I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't like the fact, but it does slightly bother me that people who are criminals and have probably committed some of the worst crimes are eating and living off of my dime. I'm not sure how I would feel about them getting minimum wage after they done did some bullshit on this outside. And I'm not saying they're not ever allowed to get their life back or that they can't, you know what I'm saying, get their education behind the wall. But nah, you can't make the same 11.50 that I make out
But
here if I'm, you know what I'm saying, flipping
here's
burgers or some shit.
here's the thing: you could be serving your sentence. You feel what I'm saying? And they have you working a job because the length of your sentence, you don't really get any money. A portion of your books, if your family's giving you money, uh, if there's something where you're dealing with the victims or victim compensation, they make you work so you can pay that, so you can start to pay that. It ain't gonna be much, but the
Yeah.
victims feel like they're being vindicated because they're making you work to pay
Yeah, basically
that
they're
thing back.
slave.
Exactly, but I don't agree to none of it. But there are these weird ass legal things that even sanctuary cities are involved in through the private prison systems. These are private companies that are able to do things that to a certain degree it doesn't necessarily affect my state contract. Exactly. Exactly. So, you know, I don't agree with none of it. I hope that many of these lawsuits that are out there and class action lawsuits against the Bureau of Prisons actually pan out, and inmates who have gone through the system and forced to do that, and inmates who are currently in the system and forced to do that. Something is done to justify. All right, I'm in jail. I didn't commit a violent crime. I didn't rob from anybody. You feel what I'm saying? Um, I got caught up in uh, I don't know what crime to actually talk about, but
Theft.
yeah, theft or whatever, and
Yeah,
or
unarmed
I
theft. You didn't hurt nobody in the process of you
exactly.
stealing.
I break into stores at nighttime when nobody's there. You feel what I'm saying? Shit like
Then again, that's burglary. That's a little
yeah.
violent.
I'm
That's,
trying to I'm trying to find which
I don't know,
you really
jaywalking,
can't. I'm just gonna leave it alone.
pollution,
I'm just saying like this for
pollution.
anybody. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say pollution. You know what I'm saying? Is that so bad?
Pollution.
Yeah,
Mm,
I'm saying no. I was just saying we're looking for a soft crime. Just
yeah,
dumping shit in the ocean or something.
yeah. Some stupid shit like that that may serve you, that may get you 6 months, 8 months, or some shit like that because you had a bad lawyer. If you're in there trying to find a job so you have money for commissary, so you're not stressing your family, then I don't have a problem with an inmate like you. It all depends on the circumstances. But if you're in for robbery and certain other type of crimes, then it might be an issue with number one, people are gonna feel like, all right,
The taxpayers.
we're giving you an opportunity to make money. If the majority of that money is not going back to pay the taxpayers and your victims, then how is jail rehabilitating this person? Rehabilitation has many different forms. Your rehabilitation can be, you paying back what you stole and then going to jail or counseling or whatever it takes to make you realize that this shit that I'm doing ain't right. I don't want to go back to jail for no dumb shit like this, so I'm not gonna do it again. But the prison systems are not really rehabilitating people. You're just making better criminals.
Nah, most def, most def. Moving to our final topic before we get out of here. Um, big time bombshell ruling came down from a U.S. federal court of appeals earlier this week. Here it is up here. A U.S. federal court of appeals has struck down all of Donald Trump's tariffs. It was a panel of 11 judges. They ruled 7-4 that Donald Trump vastly overstepped his authority, and he and has unlawfully leaned on the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which I think came out in 1979. They're saying he unlawfully leaned on that act to impose across the board duties on countries. Trump had used those powers to push import tax rates as high as 50% on India and as high as 145% on China. And essentially, what they're ruling is like you're not a king. You do not have the power and the authority of the purse. You cannot, okay? Congress is who regulates taxes. The executive does not have the power to sit, because let's make this very clear. And I want my brother B3 to hear it. I want anybody else hear it. I want anybody else listening to hear it. Tariffs are a tax on the American consumer and on American businesses. Okay? The president of the United States does not have the right to say, I am going to tax you for X, Y, and Z because, oh, Brazil is currently, the president does not have the right to put a 50% tax on your coffee products because the court systems of Brazil and their justice department are filing charges against that their past president who was corrupt as hell and attempted a coup, just like this dumb son of a bitch we got right up here on the screen. But but obviously Donald Trump, he is gonna go all the way to his Supreme Court, which, like B3 was talking about earlier, is set up for him. They got 6 conservative justices to 3 liberal justices, which have ruled heavily in Donald Trump's favor. I think they've returned him 16 positive rulings in his favor. But if the Supreme Court, and by the way, for the time being, the tariffs are going to remain in place while he appeals it to the Supreme Court. But if the Supreme Court strikes it down, Donald Trump will have to refund American businesses more than $200 billion. Okay? That all that tariff revenue he likes to talk, which is just tax revenue. Okay, let's call it like what it is. All that tax revenue he likes to talk about, he'll have to give it all back to the American businesses. And when he does that, bro, it like what else is there for Matt? Like this dude has been a fucking failure. Okay? Doge was a failure. Which, by the way, Doge, like Congress is supposed to do, it was supposed to be doing Doge's job. The shit was an abject failure. Elon Musk said he was gonna save us $2 trillion. Then it became 1 trillion. Then it became 800 billion. Then it became 100 billion. Then it went all the way down to $8 billion worth of savings. And then, according to Elon, most of those savings were wiped out with the big beautiful bill. Then on top of the fact, you got fucking retard after retard after retard. Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, Pete Hegseth, the fucking retard RFK we were just talking about. You got retard after retard in positions of power in your cabinet who are just fucking up at every single turn. Now, like the single, like this is, let's be honest, tariffs are Trump's economic and his foreign diplomatic policy. Tariffs are his main, like that's the staple of his policy and his administration. If he does not have the power of tariffs, number one, that deal that just happened with the European Union, that shit is for the birds. They don't have to do nothing. They don't have to respect those tariffs because they're illegal, and he can't enforce them against American businesses. The fucking all those hundreds of $billions worth of investments into American energy and gas companies, that's dead. All the investments we were supposed to be getting from Japan and South Korea, dead. So this has been nothing but a big fucking waste of time. And prices are only gonna go up. On top of the fact we just got after he fired, this is going off into something else, but after he fired the head of the labor statistics because he didn't like the labor numbers, he the labor job reports from the new guy he hired came out yesterday and said that we only added 50,000 jobs to the economy this past month. Bro, this economy is going down fucking here. On top of the fact the stock market is in the trash today. Like this shit, like this dude has been a fucking failure. And it's like what B3 said. And B3, you asked the question, how could somebody continue to outwardly support this? It's because they're uneducated and they're stupid. Okay? The fact that you would believe a motherfucker that looks like this. Look at him. His face is covered in orange makeup. This is a white man. His skin is pale white. His face is covered in orange fucking makeup. He lies to you on a daily basis. The mere fact that you don't understand, that those people don't understand that a tariff is nothing but an import tax on yourself, speaks to how uneducated they are. And how they will just go for whatever the fuck this orange retard says. But whew, I done ranted enough on that. AC, what's your reaction to the court rulings concerning the tariffs and yeah, whatnot with Orange Retard
Well,
and his whole administration? Go ahead.
I'm happy that this court made that ruling. The thing that we know next is he's going to his mommy and daddy, which is the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is more likely going to rule in favor of him based on them giving him that carte blanche and then giving him the carte blanche to say you can't even prosecute this man. The Supreme Court, this Supreme Court is just a travesty. So the court that told Donald Trump your shit is illegal, that was another appeals court because you tried to, one court told you no, then you took it to a higher court, and then the higher court said hell no. So at the end of the day, it's more like, okay, check this shit out, bro. We could fight this man on this level, but these other dudes over here, they just gonna take our good work in this fight that we trying to put up and keep this man contained. They're just gonna rule against it until they realize that he's gonna do something to get rid of you the minute you don't do what he wants. So it's like I want to be excited about it, but the reality of it just will not let me.
I mean, I think we have to have some hope because we saw the Supreme Court when he did something that is blatantly unconstitutional and illegal, when he snatched up Abrego Garcia without due process, which was a blatant violation of the Fifth Amendment. They ruled 9-0. That includes Alito and Clarence Thomas, his two biggest fucking puppets on the court.
And
They
that
both ruled also and agreed with the others saying you need to bring him back immediately. Like you are
yeah,
out of fucking order, my guy.
and
So that gives me some hope that
that's on a
they're gonna look at this
constitutional
and apply
level.
the law.
But for me, that's still on a constitutional level where you're talking about human rights. You feel what I'm saying? That constitutional level also directly affects them because if they don't do that without due process, when Trump amasses his complete army, then his complete army will make the Supreme Court irrelevant. Because why do I need a Supreme Court? I could do what the fuck I want anyway. So you can't tell me what I can and cannot do. If I don't want Abrego Garcia here, he's not coming here. And if you don't shut the fuck up, I'm gonna figure out some shit with my Justice Department, and we're gonna abolish the Supreme Court. He has that ability. That's what they gave him. They gave him that ability.
You kind of right, cause the Supreme Court, when they ruled that a sitting president basically has immunity, they did take away any enforcement teeth they have against him committing a crime. However, he cannot abolish the court. Like the courts are their own separate co-equal branch of government. Like what B3 was talking about with checks and balances. He cannot just get them up out of here. There's no legal precedents to do that. How would you what would the FBI and federal troops just run in there and grab the 9 justices and move them to a black site?
Okay,
Like
so
what? Like
let me put this scenario out there,
and go quickly because I want to hear what
because I want to hear his.
go quick. Yeah, go
So
ahead.
basically, it's like this: when you look at the conflicts of interest that Terrence Clarence has on his own, when you look at the dude with the beer situation, I forgot his name. When you look at Chief Justice Elena Hagan, all four of those justices have shit that they owe to Trump because they've done some fucked up things. So at the end of the day, I can just bring you in on that. That's enough. With the type of corrupt people I got on my team, that is enough. The echo chamber I have, that is enough. And then all I have to do is just say, you know what, the Democrats, we already know what they are. Done deal, bro. One stroke of the pen. Let Stephen Miller get on that topic. Stephen Miller gonna shop that to Fox. He gonna shop it to Newsmax.
Man,
If they don't
AC,
get
I
a
hope
bad,
you got your gun ready. That's all I'm gonna say.
that's what bro. That's how scary this shit is starting to get, bro. So that's all I'm saying. But I'll let B3 cook, bro.
Yeah, B3. What's your reaction to the orange retards main economic and foreign policy being struck down in an appeals court, and what do you think the outcome will be when it goes to the Supreme Court? My brother B3 probably hopped in a cab. He probably out there with Angie baby. You see the my Dominican baby mama, she talking shit. I don't really like that. Well, okay, yeah, B3. But nah, man, I still have faith in this court system. I still have faith that they will follow and apply the law. Like this shit that Donald Trump is doing right now is specifically why we started the American Revolution. Okay, because back then there were no income tax. It was tariffs. They put a 2% tariff on tea, and a 4% tariff on postal stamps. And the colonists said y'all can't do that shit. Like this is tyranny. Like taxation without representation is tyranny. Those are the words that birthed a fucking revolution. So I cannot see the Supreme Court, especially some of the rationale that he has come out in the open and said. Like, how could you rule that it's legal to you to declare an emergency and that we have to put 50% tariffs on Brazil because they are rightfully prosecuting a corrupt politician? How could that ever be an excuse for putting a 50% tax on the American people? Yeah, yeah, Angie, babe. I know you know B3 is driving. You're probably in that car with him. But yeah, how could that be, AC? Nah, El Chicano. She a Dominican from the Bronx. She don't
No,
like
I
to
just
talk that
can't.
Spanish.
I can't. Like I was talking and I have my joint on mute, but I just can't imagine, you know, me in my lifetime seeing stuff like this because I grew up with the Republicans that if you had if you had issues with infidelity, you got up out of it. They would force you to resign. You'd be done. You'd be a done deal. If you had ties to some of the things that Donald Trump has ties to now, you would have been gone. It's the hot mic moment when he was running in 2016 by grabbing by the pussy. That would have been enough.
Hold on, AC, just quickly. I got her. I got her motherfucking ass. I knew you are goddamn Dominican, Angie, baby. You in the chat talking Spanish. Go ahead, AC. I just wanted to let her know I caught her ass. Go ahead.
Uh-huh. But basically, where this country is right now, when you read things where it says the meek shall inherit the earth, that's kind of telling you that things travel in circles. We're right now in the circle where stupidity and cognitive dissonance and Dunning-Kruger mentalities are the things that are recognized, while speaking the truth is speaking the truth and speaking truth to power is being classified as you don't have a strong message. You have a messaging problem. And that's where it's like, whoa. So speaking the truth is a messaging problem in 2025. Okay, Fine. That's what y'all want to say.
And that's my problem with the Democratic establishment too. Because these motherfuckers, like, I don't like them either. Like, I try to get with Hakeem Jeffries, but I can't fuck with him. Okay? I can't fuck with how he's doing Zorhan Mandani. That should be a guy you put all your weight behind. This is a fucking guy Trump is terrified of. Republicans are terrified of him. Then they come with this strategy of, oh, don't rock the waves, don't shake the boat. Just keep letting them be stupid and we'll win over in the midterms. Fuck that. Like, what's his name? Senator Van Hollen. I got so much respect for this man because not only is he one of the people who's talking about UG Solutions, which is a security firm that is guarding the Gaza Humanitarian Foundations, where thousands of Palestinians are being murdered as they're running for food. He's trying to open investigations into that. He went down there personally and put pressure on the El Salvadoran government to bring Abrego Garcia back. And and people like Hakeem Jeffries will say, no, that's too much. Or what's the name of that bitch from Michigan, the senator, Alyssa Slotkin. Like, I just can't stand some of these people, bro. Like, even Gavin Newsom, I can't, like, if it's a MAGA candidate running and who somehow gets the nomination in 2028, I will support Gavin Newsom. But if Thomas Massey, by some miracle, gets the Republican nomination in 2028, bro, I'm supporting Thomas Massey. All these all these establishment guys like Trump, because let's be honest, Trump is the Republican establishment. Hakeem Jeffries, what's the name of that motherfucker? Adam Schiff, Chuck Schumer, all those guys are for the birds, man. I don't want to see them no more. To be very honest with you.
I get the frustration with the old mentality. This is where the legit, to me, some of the legit
This is Bernie and
criticism.
AOC time. You see what's
It,
happening with Mamdani.
I'm
He getting
not.
momentum.
See, I'm at the end of the day. I gotta keep it. I gotta keep it a beam with you, bro. I'm on a lifetime crusade to expose the fucking fraud that Bernie Sanders is. I can't stand this motherfucker. Like, if Bernie Sanders stood in front of me, I'd probably punch him in the fucking mouth. Like, this is why we're in this situation. Because your bitch ass ran as a Democratic independent socialist in 2016. You were independent. You tried to run on a Democratic ticket. You should have really understood the ballot process for what you wanted to do. Being that you couldn't get on a ballot in certain parts of Pennsylvania and here in New York, you were the one who came out with the statement that Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the DNC is trying to fix and rig the election. That's why you joined the election in 2016 in the first place, because you said, no, I don't like the fact that the Democratic Party just put Hillary Clinton up there without having a primary, because there wasn't a strong enough candidate at that time that was polling in the 86% rate. People don't understand that Hillary Clinton is the reason why dads have maternity leave. The reason why here in New York, affordable housing has legs now. And a lot of different bills that Hillary Clinton co-sponsored from the time that she wanted to bring in when she was running for president, and they were all excellent ideas. Now, here's the thing. Once that happened, what happened? Bernie Sanders turns around. Donald Trump turns around and he says, yeah, look at what they're doing to Bernie. That lets you know the Democrats are crooked because they're trying to steal the election from crazy Bernie. And therefore, here's the birth of the whole stolen election talking point. And this is why Trump and his acolyte and his people went on this crusade to say, listen, we need to do this with voting rights because the Democrats are not going to play fair. When you look at the hype Bernie Sanders was getting at that point, where they were comparing his rally numbers to Hillary Clinton's rally numbers, it gave what Bernie Sanders said legs. The legacy media then hopped on that. Since that, you tried to do it in 2016 to whereas you had that one-on-one conversation with Joe Biden, like, listen, I'm not going to give Joe Biden support unless he proves to me that he's progressive. Bernie Sanders, where did you and your wife spend your honeymoon? In fucking Russia. Did you or did you not have the same type of charges and indictments concerning fraudulent realty situations and fucking up with schools and shit like that? Bernie Sanders, let me ask you a question. When it comes down to the crime bill that you did sign for and you did speak against, but your state was one of the states that had the highest spending for militarizing their police, but yet your state is one of the states that are in the north that has the least amount of black people. So if there's 10% black folks in your state, Bernie Sanders, why is 6 to 9% of that 10% of black people have faced police or have gone through the jail systems? That shit is fucking crazy when you look at those statistics. So listen, I'm not with I'm with the progressive movement, but for me, the progressive movement really started with Jimmy Carter, because what he did for the White House, he was the first person to talk about alternative fuels. He was pushing peanuts to be the alternative fuels and peanut husk to be a better, stronger building material. Till this day, that's still an actual fact. Peanuts provide oil. Peanuts are also used in medical things. When he put the solar panels on the White House, that was something brand new. Jimmy Carter understood from what they were saying in the 70s about global warming, because he saw his peanut crops being affected by certain climate changes. He's a farmer. So that was real progressivism for me. When you run as something else and you're trying to tell me a country that has been built on capitalism, like I gave you the example before with the Mexican, when you see the little Mexican selling ice cream, or you see the guy, in Georgia or Atlanta with the little makeshift barbecue shack, that's fucking capitalism. It gives me a chance. I don't want to come outside and feel like the government has more control over what I do. That still promotes a class system. People from Denmark, people from Copenhagen, and many of those democratic socialist countries, they still immigrate to America. And that's probably where you and I will probably most disagree at. Some of the things, like some of the core policies of the Bernie Sanders progressiveness, I can kind of get. I do understand the argument. I agree to certain points. You feel what I'm saying? But for me, you can't blame global warming on cow and pig flatulence. Not when I know how much damage a jet fucking does.
No,
Or jet fuel does to
I
our.
hear you. I hear you 1000%. And I'm not, even though I sometimes identify as a democratic socialist, I don't really have any political or ideological affiliation. Like, I'm split down a lot of lines. Like, I'm
Yeah,
one
same
part
here.
socialist. Yeah, I'm one part socialist because I do believe that I don't necessarily think or no, I do believe in healthcare for all. I do believe in a government in a government sponsored healthcare system that all Americans should be able to buy into or should be able to be served by. Or just straight up, I don't think that when you go to a hospital you should have to pick up a fucking, like, I saw something crazy where a guy had to pay a $25,000 bill because he got carried in the ambulance and he didn't have no health insurance.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the fucking pain medication, it was $90 a pill. Again, no fucking pain medication. We had a young man up there in Wisconsin last year who died because his asthma medication, after he lost coverage, it went up to $500 a pill. And he just fucking died. He couldn't afford it. So he just died. Just like what you were talking about with that young lady over there in Africa who said she had 8 months to live. I
Yeah.
believe that there should be health care for all people. The same way how and this is where I co-opt socialism and mix it with libertarianism a little bit, because I don't just believe, because libertarians believe that the federal government only has a responsibility of national defense and justice. I think healthcare should be included in that. You cannot have a good I don't think you can have a stable functioning country if if when somebody if when people get hit with a $1,200 medical bill, it's like a collapse to them. They cannot survive it. I don't think that's good, bro. But where I'm willing to kind of get like meet a middle road is, okay, fine. Let's not give everybody health care, but let's make sure everybody under the age of 18 has health care and education and nutrition, and they have the options like I was telling
Thousand.
you the other day,
Yeah.
to go to trade school for free. Because
Yes.
that's how it is in just about every other country. If you're not good when it comes to academics, they give you the option of trade school for free, so you could
Yeah.
become a fiber optic technician or a fuel quality technician or whatever the fuck. That's just how I feel. Now with Bernie, I like him a lot because he talks a lot about lowering drug prices, healthcare for all. Like I said, I don't agree with a lot of the I'm not gonna say I don't agree with the LGBTQ policy, but I feel like there's a bit too much of an emphasis on that when it comes to the progressive side of the Democratic Party and the left leaning and the left leaning coalition that they have. But outside of that, man, like Bernie is really like, I love the guy.
Bernie,
I love him.
Bernie, Bernie is real good at inspiring the younger generation who, you know, here's the thing. Some adults, I'm going to say it like this. You always have that percentage of the younger generation that just sees things differently, and they have a better understanding of what they face as they move into childbearing years and being married, and as they're looking at their 40s and 50s and looking at how retirement and things go. So when they start looking at the landscape, they're like, this shit doesn't work because this income wealth gap is just crazy. You feel what I'm saying? Um, Certain things like that are just simply policy issues. If you can pass the policy for it and get the private sector to buy into it, then you got a win. You got something that's a win-win for everybody. My political views is I do hold a lot of progressive uh, viewpoints because I want to see society and humanity grow as a whole. So I tend to say if I was going to be in a political party or I was going to form a political party, we actually would be called humanists because our goal is to uh, make the human experience better. I don't give a fuck about your color. If you want to make color an issue, fine, make color an issue. So you take your, colorblind asshole over there. Me personally, I just want to create the human experience. That's giving young people a chance. That's giving everyone a chance. Right now, for me, there's a cross section of where capitalism, libertarianism, uh, uh, federalism, and uh, and 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 uh, and and progressiveness all intersect and actually make for the best human experience that's possible. You feel what I'm saying? But if
No,
everyone
absolutely.
if everyone just looked at it as a human thing, I don't care about party. This affects you as a human. If we want to talk about a healthy planet, a strong planet, to whereas, the global trade is what it is, then everyone must be healthy. The sharper minds that are not thinking about food are the sharper minds that come up with innovation. So everyone should be healthy. Everyone should be well fed. This is a planet that has vast amounts of land, retarded amounts of land that is just not explored, cultivated, or anything. It doesn't have to turn into
You're gonna run into the
condominiums and
environment.
shit like that.
you're gonna run. You as a humanist, you're gonna run into the PETA people, and you're gonna run into the environmentalists.
But what I'm saying is, as far as as far as the environmentalists are concerned, what I'm talking about is the resources, is understanding what's there at that elevation. Me coming from a chef's perspective and looking at what a restaurant like Central did in in uh, uh, in Brazil, I mean in Peru, you're talking about foods and everything that happens at elevations. At these elevations, you can take a specific plant, ferment that plant, and that plant that fermented juice you'll find is super high in all kind of things that are actually healthy for the human experience. Look at goji berries. Goji berries are a thing that came about because of some chef looked at this and went up at that elevation and, oh, you're indigenous people that eat this and look at their health. How old are you? Now you look like you only 30 years old, and what, you telling me you 95? You feel what I'm saying? It's just shit like that. And if we look at it like
Everybody
people,
sun-dried tomatoes.
yeah, if we look at it the way sustainable fishing is done, the way sustainable lumber is done, then the environmentalists will have no issues, because we need these natural resources to be able to grow. If you overcultivate it, then it doesn't grow in its natural environment. Now it's a GMO of something that we don't know how it's going to affect us. And that's kind of where I'll land my plane, bro. But great conversation, great cook. On to the next one.
Nah, most def AC. Thank you so much for coming through, my brother. I consider you like my co-host now. You always come up here. You always you always give me great conversation. We talked about a lot of shit today. We talked about continue. It looks like a war is gonna be starting in South America and the Caribbean. We talked about my fucking Republican mega donors getting exposed for being in Epstein's black books. We talked about a retard by the name of RFK Jr., who has a squiggly line for a voice. And then we ended it off talking about Donald Trump and just, chopping up political ideologies, man. But this was a great conversation, great show. Before I get out of here, man, I just gotta let it be known to my good friend and my great supporter, Angie Baby. I got your ass, girl.
I thought I had it all together, but I was led astray the day you walked away. You were the clock that was ticking in my home. Changed my state of mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Hey, man, peace, yeah. Yeah, I love y'all, man. Peace. I'm gonna catch y'all next time, bro.